Inventor builds the apocalyptic bunker of his dreams. We've all thought about it before. We've all come up with a brilliant plan on what to do if the apocalypse hit or if your entire area was obliterated. What about nuclear attacks that were so frightful in the 50s, prompting underground shelters? Most people ponder what they do if disaster struck in an instant. There are others who call themselves preppers and have devoted their lives to preparing for such an event. They refer to the unknown event as a WSHTF, which breaks down to when shit hits the fan. It has become a very popular way of life these days that teaches self-reliance and sustainability without modern conveniences like the internet or grocery stores. Some people have built bunkers in the hills or even purchased abandoned missile silos to convert their safe haven or bug-out location. Not everyone believes that the world as we know it will end anytime soon, but there are those who say it's better to be prepared than not. If nothing else, it is a productive hobby that can teach you valuable life lessons. Some of these bunkers are not much more than a hole in the ground, while others are incredibly lavish places that you could well find an evil villain to live in. While Colin Furze, a very popular YouTuber, teamed up with a UK-based cable channel called Sky One to build his ideal place to take shelter in case of the apocalypse. It was all done for a segment called You, Me, and the Apocalypse. Colin was given a task to build a shelter that would house him knowing the world would end in 34 days. He decided to build himself an underground apocalypse bunker, and let's just say it's far from ordinary. Take a look at the entire build. Meet Colin Furze. He's a very entertaining guy who hosts a YouTube channel and was given the task to build the ultimate underground apocalypse bunker. Here's his very detailed drawing of his vision. This is the start of what would protect him and the hairless cat all villains have until disaster cleared. Colin lives in the UK and decided his backyard would be a suitable place for his underground apocalypse bunker. It'd be close to home and he wouldn't have to travel far to safety. His backyard's pretty big, so there's plenty of room to work with. What a beautiful view to boot. He had an old shed in the corner of his yard that had to go. First things first, gone with a roof and down with the walls. Demolition's usually the funnest part of any construction job. The dinosaur was a vital piece of his yard art, so he had to put it in an optimal place to instill terror into the minds of any intruders. On top of the playset, looking over the fence should work. With the yard clear, the fence was removed and the dimensions were drawn onto the lawn. It was time to bring in the heavy equipment and clear out any debris. You can't have an underground apocalypse bunker unless it's underground. Time to start digging. He needed to dig about 12 feet down to fulfill his vision. Deeper and deeper, the ground was soft at first but started to get a little tougher to dig. As you can tell, Colin's a little more than excited about his build, maybe because the whole thing's being funded by Sky One. A few feet down and they ran into solid rock. The tractors were no match, so they had to bring in some heavy-duty jackhammers and chisels to break the rock free. With a hole dug, the structure materials were brought in. Colin wanted this bunker to last, so he chose steel as his framework, a lot of steel. They erected some small footings and started their floor work. They had to weld every single seam to be completely airtight, hours and hours of welding. Eventually, they set the last piece of steel that made the massive reinforced steel floor. With the floor complete, the next step was to erect the steel walls, again more welding. One of the hardest parts done, and this underground apocalypse bunker is starting to take shape. Colin's obviously thrilled by his progress. Now that the walls were erected, it was time for the roof. Due to the weight in the ground above it, the ceiling needed to be curved to disperse weight evenly. Once the ceiling was installed and welded shut, it was time to cover the entire thing in some very strong fiberglass reinforced concrete. The concrete was poured in different stages for strength. Some massive load beams were spanned across the ground to help distribute the weight of tons and tons of concrete. Colin's little boy couldn't help himself and wanted to be a part of the finished work. With the concrete drying, Colin installed the ventilation shafts that would feed fresh air into the underground apocalypse bunker while allowing used air to escape. After the concrete was completely dry, they covered the entire structure with dirt and sod so nobody would ever know what was underneath his lawn. With the heavy equipment no longer needed, they were able to reconstruct the fence they tore down. All that was left was a patch of concrete with a large steel hatch. This wouldn't do, and a shed needed to be built to conceal the entrance into the bunker. He built a very nice shed on top of the concrete pad, and inside is nothing out of the ordinary. But once you slide the grill out of the way and lift up one of the rugs, you'll notice a locked door. Once inside, your jaw will hit the floor. Here's the tunnel leading into the underground apocalypse bunker. Take a look at this, absolutely incredible. This place is everything you might need. Let's take a look. Colin's obviously very excited to show it all off. A kitchen is a must and it contains a ton of non-perishable foods and water to sustain a few people. You'll definitely need a place to rest your head, so installed an ejection bed. This is an ejection bed. Not sure why you'd need it, but it looks dangerous. I want it. There's a generator with fuel in case there's a problem with the power in the bunker. An air filtration system is a must to keep you safe inside. You simply can't have an underground apocalypse bunker without a wall of weapons. They look awesome. The toilet is a little exposed, you might say, but you'd be thrilled if it was there if you were in an apocalyptic situation. And the pièce de la résistance, a full entertainment center stocked with movies and games. Oh, and a drum set to kill boredom. If any intruders try to take over the underground Apocalypse bunker, just turn on your remote-controlled AK-47s aimed at the hatch and dispose of the problem quickly. Because there's no doomsday upon us or an apocalypse raining down on Earth at the moment, Colin refers to his underground bunker as the ultimate underground man cave. That's exactly what it is. He still has some modifications that he wants to make to be able to sustain living down there for a longer period of time, but as of now I'd say this bunker is pretty close to perfect. My only issue is that it's tied into local power and only has a generator to supply it if the power grid fails. A windmill and some solar panels should help with that situation. A UV light grow room would help with sustainable food as well. Either way, this underground apocalypse bunker is everything I want and more, especially the wall of badass weapons. If only I could get a cable channel to start funding my insane ideas. Better start working on my own YouTube channel.